GIMP can be used to remove background from an image you might want to use as a decal or to texture a Trainz asset. There are at least 5 methods you can use to remove background with GIMP: fuzzy selection, color selection, path selection, scissors selection, and foreground selection. Fuzzy selection works best with a background that has one or similar colors that contrast the foreground, such as the sky behind this hot air balloon. Once the image is loaded, add an alpha channel by selecting the Layer menu, Transparency, then Add an alpha channel. If Add an alpha channel is grayed out, the image already has an alpha channel. Select the Fuzzy Selection tool, keyboard shortcut the U key. In the Control panel, check Draw Mask. This will add a pink overlay to the selection to make it easier to see. Select a spot on the background and drag down to expand the range of colors selected. The further you drag the mouse, the greater the selection. Dragging up reduces the selection. Be careful not to select any of the foreground, in this case the hot air balloon. To delete the background, use the keyboard shortcut Command plus the X key or Control plus the X key. You can repeat this process a few times to remove all of the background. The keyboard shortcut Shift plus Command plus the A key or Shift plus Control plus the A key removes the selection, the marching ants. Save the image by selecting File menu, then Export As. Or use the keyboard shortcut, the Shift plus Command plus the E key, or Shift plus Control plus the E key. Select by color also allows you to remove all of the background that has the same or similar colors. This method is particularly useful when the different areas of the background are not connected. Once the image is loaded, add an alpha channel by selecting the Layers menu, then Transparency, then Add Alpha Channel. If Add Alpha Channel is grayed out, the image already has an alpha channel. Select the Color Selection tool. Keyboard shortcut the Shift plus the O key. Check Draw Mask if not already checked. This will add a pink overlay to the selection to make it easier to see. Select the background and drag down to expand the range of the colors selected. The further you drag the mouse, the greater the range of colors selected from the color underneath the selection point. Be careful not to select any of the foreground. in this case the leaves and the branches. Delete the background using the keyboard shortcut Command plus the X key or Control plus the X key. Continue to select areas of different colors you wish to delete. Note that you can use other tools, such as the lasso tool or the eraser, to remove remaining background. Save the image by selecting File menu, then Export As, or use the keyboard shortcut the Shift plus the Command plus the E key, or Shift plus Control plus the E key. Path selection is best used when the foreground has relatively straight lines, such as with this building. Once the image is loaded, add an alpha channel by selecting the Layer menu, then Transparency, then Add Alpha Channel. If Add Alpha Channel is grayed out, the image already has an alpha channel. Select the Paths tool, keyboard shortcut the B key. Outline the foreground. Close the path by selecting the Enter key. You can add a point by hovering over the path where you want to add the point, selecting Command key or Control key, and when the plus icon appears, clicking. You can remove a point by hovering over the point and selecting Shift plus the Command key or Shift plus the Control key, and when the minus sign appears, clicking. Invert the selection by selecting the Selection menu, then Invert, or use the keyboard shortcut the I key. To delete the background, use the keyboard shortcut Command plus the X key or Control plus the X key. Save the image by selecting the File menu, then Export As, or use the keyboard shortcut Shift plus Command plus the E key or Shift plus Control plus the E key. The Scissor Selection tool, also known as the Intelligent Scissor Selection tool, attempts to simplify the selection process by using a built-in logic to place the outline and thus trace the boundary of the object. The interactive boundary option allows you to preview the selection's path as you create it, making it easier to adjust and refine the selection. It is useful when you are trying to select a region defined by strong color changes at the edges. Once the image is loaded, add an alpha channel by selecting the Layer menu, then Transparency, and then Add Alpha Channel. If Add Alpha Channel is grayed out, the image already has an alpha channel. Select the Scissor Selection tool. Keyboard shortcut the I key. Place the first control point. Then drag the mouse to view and choose the positions of subsequent control points. Use the Delete key to remove points. To add a control point, hover the mouse cursor over the path and hold down the Command key or the Control key, and when the cursor shows a plus sign, click. To adjust a path, hover the mouse cursor over the control point and drag. To remove a control point, hover the mouse cursor over the control point, hold down the Shift plus the Command key or the Shift plus the Control key, and when the cursor shows a minus sign, click. To complete the selection, select the Enter key. To delete the background, invert the selection by selecting the Selection menu, then Invert. Or use the keyboard shortcut, the Command key plus the I key, or Control key plus the I key. Delete the background by selecting Command and the X key, or Control and the X key. Save the image by selecting the File menu, then Export As, or use the keyboard shortcut Shift plus the Command key plus the E key, or Shift plus the Control key plus the E key. Foreground selection is a good choice if the image has a lot of fine detail on the edges, such as this beaver house, that I want to add to my route. It differs from other methods in that you select the range of colors of the foreground, not the background. Drag an image into the workspace, or open by selecting File menu, then Open. Or use the keyboard shortcut, Command plus the O key or Control plus the O key. Once the image is loaded, add an alpha channel by selecting the Layer menu, then Transparency, and then Add Alpha Channel. If Add Alpha Channel is grayed out, the image already has an alpha channel. Select the Foreground Selection tool. This tool does not have a keyboard shortcut. Roughly draw around the image. The outline does not have to be precise. Close the outline. Then select the Enter key to see a blue background. Manually brush to select part of the foreground. You don't have to select all of the foreground, just enough to include the colors that make up the foreground. Be careful not to get too close to the edge. You don't want to select any of the background colors. To convert the image, in the upper right-hand corner, select Select. This may take a few minutes, depending upon your computer's capabilities. Invert the selection by selecting the Selection menu, then Invert, or use the keyboard shortcut, the I key. To delete the background, use the keyboard shortcut Command plus the X key or Control plus the X key. Save your image. Select File menu, then Export As, or use the keyboard shortcut Shift plus Command plus the E key or Shift plus Control plus the E key. Finally, keep in mind that you can use any combination of these tools to achieve your desired result.